Hey everyone, a pleasant good morning to all of you, especially my mentor G. Kumar sir and, and my dear classmates. Here, today on this auspicious day, we all got opportunity to, we got opportunity to represent our own topic in a presentation, which not only gives various idea but also let us to discover some more important things which may be not included in our books, and this is the one of the interesting way to learn. Now moving towards my topic is based on nervous system. Here are the contents of my topic: introduction, neurons, impulse, classification and conclusion. These are the essential topics which we are going to see in these presentations. Starting with the introduction part, that is nervous system. Nervous system is the master of the all gland, master of the system of the body. Here in this system, it controls and communicates all the body organs and parts. And nervous system is mainly made up of ectoderm, except one part, that is gliocytes, that is made up of mesoderm. And moving towards and the basic and structural function of the nervous system is the neurons. Neurons are the main basic and structural function of the nervous system, and we can say that nervous system apart from nervous system, we have an endocrine system which controls and coordinates, but nervous system is being rapid in actions, so we mostly prefer nervous system because it produces electrical signals known as electrical synapse and also known as impulse. Now moving towards the main and structural function of nervous system, that is neurons. Neurons, as we can see the figure, that neuron is like in its apex side we can see that there is a broad, and its base side we can see that there is a narrow. Here the central part is known as the nucleus, mainly made up of nucleoplasm, and the area that we can see that beside the nucleus is the cyton or perikaryon or neuroplasm, we can say that, and the process which being arises from the dendron is known as dendrites. These dendrites have a receptors which is mainly used to transmit messages and operate the signals which has been received from the other neurons. Now moving towards the dendron, there is a two part separation, that is dendron and axon. Here the arising part is axon, so we term as axon hillock. Here we can here the arising part is axon, so we term as axon hillock, and from at the end of it, at the end of the axon we call it as a axon terminal. Now we can see that there is a we can say that there is a branch like structure known as synaptic terminals, and these one known as the synaptic node. These are essential because here whenever a nerve impulse is generated, these helps in conductions of the nerves and transmits the message to the brain CNS. Now we have another part, that is impulse. This one will be a bit lengthy, so here we can see that we have a four phases. First one is resting potentials, second one is depolarizations, and third one is repolarization, and one more phase, that is hyperpolarization. Here in this phase, this is the main process of the nervous system, where we know how a nerve is conducted, how a nerve is generated. Mostly happen in these cases that it is a we can say that transverse section of our neuron. Here in our neuron, when we are in a resting phase, when the neuron is in a resting phase, that kind when, for example, if you are hearing me, you are receiving my stimulus, voice is acting like a stimulus, and your brain is processing it like a impulse. Now we can see that in resting potentials we have no changes, but in a nervous system, one thing is that we can't attain equilibrium, because if we attain equilibrium, our all body cells stops working, and we have a chance of we can say that we can even fatal to death also. Now in resting potentials we can see that in this picture here, the mostly happen that when we are going to attain the equilibrium, there is a this is known as a potassium sodium pump, and these are the potassium pump, sodium pump, and these are the, we can say that this is known as voltage gated pump, and there were so many short pumps that is known as leaky channels. Here what happened, the inner cells has more sodium ion than potassium, and the inner cell has more potassium ion than sodium, and the outer cell has more sodium than potassium. Here what happens that we are in a resting, for example, we are in a resting phase. Now so that we couldn't attain equilibrium, we have to do that our body mostly uses 1 ATP to transfer the three sodium ions outside the body and 2 potassium ions inside the body. Here it happens that whenever the number of sodium and potassium ions try to reach at an equilibrium point, our body uses energy, 1 ATP of energy, and disbalance the state. Now moving towards the depolarization. Main thing is the main process of the nervous system is this. Because of depolarization we generate nerve impulse. Here we can see that the depolarization means that in this phase the pole get, we can say the pole get exchange. Here the inner membrane has a negative we can say pole, while the outer membrane has a positive pole. That when we are moving toward the depolarized state, we can see that the poles being exchanged, means the inner membrane that is negatively charged is being positively charged, and the outside membrane that is positively charged being negatively charged, because of the influx of sodium ions. Here when the voltage is about plus 30 millivolt, the sodium when we get disturbed by, for example, we have heard example that a mosquito bites, then you don't see the sites where it has bitten you. You quickly respond to that particular sites. At that particular, this process has been occurred from this state to this state. You are going to this state from this state. In this normal state, we don't have any kind of stimulus, but when we move to the depolarization state, we receive due to a stimulus we have a certain changes, and here is the main site where the we can say that impulse generated. Here happens what that when a stimulus come, when a stimulus introduce a chemical changes in your body that producing we can say that ATP that uses ATP in the form of energy to facilitate the sodium and potassium pump get stopped, and due to the stoppage of that we have a disbalance of sodium ions in our we can say that in inner membrane. The sodium influxes in our inner membrane, and the potassium ion remain we can say it get the concentration of potassium ion getting lower as compared to the sodium ions. And here whenever it happens, the voltage reaches to plus 30 MV, we can say that plus 30 millivolt, and whenever it happens we can say that electric charge generated there. From here we will move to the third state, that is repolarization. In this stage we can see that the positively charged here the positively charged ions get transferred to the negatively charged ion, because the voltage gated channel of sodium ions get opened, and in this case mostly when we are at a stable state, only leaky channels are open for the influx of sodium and potassium ion, but But whenever a stimulus is arriving at that particular instance, our sodium and potassium pumps get closed, and our liquid and even the voltage gated channels get open at a voltage of 30 MB. From here, the current flow from positive to negative, the current that is inside the membrane in a depolarized membrane is positive, and here from another step it goes into the negative, and from the negative to the positive. It like that it follow the sequence, and after that the flow of current, the flow of current mostly generate the impulse. This is what the impulse generated. That's why we call that the nervous system is produces electrical signals for transmits of messages. And repolarization happens means the again we have a resting potentials. Again we gonna just for example if we are in a hyper mode, so we will get back to the normal mode. Same like we can say that resting potential is opposite to the repolarization, but we have certain exceptions that we should have to take in mind. The cells will be reverse of the resting potentials. Here one thing is that is exception, that the voltage gated channel will remain open till the voltage get up to -70 MB. And here the potassium voltage when it gets to the -70 MB, the sodium influxes get stopped at that particular instance, and here the potassium ions remains at a lower constant. To stop the sodium potassium influx, we get to the hyper resting potential, hyper mode. Then we have to then at that particular instance the potassium ion which is being opened get closed at that particular ion, that is at hyper mode, we can say that hyper resting potential, we can say that. And there again we have a resting phase, a resting potential which regain that kind of. And here from this that we say that the current move from one cells to another. In this case, this produces a we can say a wave that is impulse, which keeps on repeating until it reaches to our brain. So this was the impulse, and here it is a graphical representation to show that how the graph is going on. Here we can see that there is a at resting potential we have a -17, we are at normal phase, then we have a -70 MV volts. At that volt we are at a resting phase, we have no changes in our body only maintains whatever the changes required. And thereafter whenever a stimulus arrives, whenever for example a stimulus, we can say agent or anything which brings certain chemical changes in our body, whenever it happens, the graph goes plus 30 millivolt. It goes plus 30 millivolt because of the influx of sodium ions, because the concentration of sodium ions keeps on increasing at plus 30 millivolt. And whenever it happens, the amount of concentration is highly, as because of the diffusion. As we know that diffusion, the amount of we can say that the concentration of the gradient is moving towards lower, from higher to the lower. So we can see that the sodium ion, here sodium ion, we can see that sodium ion is at its highest point. So now here what happens, the voltage gated channel, which is only opens at when the voltage is reached at certain instant, that is plus 30 millivolt. When it happens, the voltage gated channels get opened, and the influx of sodium ions has been put to an stop. Means we can say that here, from here to here, depolarization occurs, and this graphs, this line shows that depolarization occurs. At this particular instance, sodium ions will be more as compared to the outside. And whenever it reaches at plus 30 millivolt, we have a we have a we can say that threshold where the sodium ions influx has been put to an end, and from here we again we can that the we can say that the potassium voltage gated channel gets open. From here we again back to our minus 70 millivolt. It will be a resting phase, but this condition doesn't appear because the potassium ions which are in lower concentration remain open. So so that we push back to minus 90 degree, minus 90 millivolt, so that the sodium ion which is still open gets closed, and the potassium ions which is in a lower concentration will come back to their original form. And again we can see that after these changes brings we can say that these changes produces electrical signals which act as an impulse or message which sent to our brain, and then our brain function it, then our brain process it and send as a order. This is the last point, that is the repolarization here, and in this process we can say that we get back to the normal phase, and that's it. Now moving toward the classification. As we have discussed about the neurons, that is a structural and functional unit, that is the basic of the nervous system, and impulse which how our neuron works and how the electricity and conductivity of the we can say that the messages process. So we can see the organs which helps in the process of these things, that is the through the classification of the nervous system. Our nervous system is mainly classified into two parts, that is CNS, central nervous system, and PNS, peripheral nervous system. And these also have a subsidiary classifications. We can say that central nervous system are classified into two process, that is brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system are mainly classified into two process, and the two processes are still classified into another two processes. And this classification, peripheral nervous system is classified as a autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Here autonomic means we can say the involuntary actions which are going to be involved in that places, or we can say that the action which is not in our control or will. And here somatic nervous system represent that the action which are mainly in control of our voluntary action, in control of our bodies, for example our body's parts, movement of muscles, we can say that. Now autonomic nervous system are of two types, that is sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system, we have a two phase, like whenever we for example when we did a mistake, we realize our mistake, and that time we are in a sympathetic phase. We have to, and again we have, and when we got back to our normal, that is parasympathetic. And here somatic nervous system, that is sensory and motor. Here we can see that it is classified on the basis of the nerve fibers, the neurons which connects the CNS and the peripheral nervous system through all body parts. Now the classification of the central nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord, that is here CNS, central nervous system. We see that brain and spinal cord, the two main classification is here. Now brain being one of the highly and complex part of the human body, and it is said to be divided into four parts mainly, that is frontal lobe, parietal lobe and occipital lobe. And here we have a temporal lobe. And mainly if that we see the on the basis of mainly if we see the basis on the division of brain, we divide the brain into three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. But on the basis of function of nervous system, we only classify them in a fourth part, that is frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe and temporal lobe. It is because we are studying the nervous system part, so we are classifying on the basis of its requirements. Now a spinal cord, we can say that the spinal cord have 31 pairs of nerves, and it is also divided into three to four segments, that is we can say that cervical nerves, thoracic nerve, lumbar nerve, and sacral nerves. Now brain, the parietal part, as the frontal lobe that is in the front of the, we can say, the forehead. We can say that if we are seeing the our forehead, it is the parietal part of frontal part of our brain, and it is mainly used for smell sensing. We can say that here on this particular instance we have a site called hippocampus. It acts as a library of the brain. Like we can say that we have a library where we store data. For brain, the hippocampus act as a library of it, where we can store the reasoning, the mental, the whatever we learn, and we can say that this part is also responsible for the quick action, the planning which we are planning for the, we can say the whatever we learn, whatever we plan, the mentality, the way we interact with the others, these are based on the frontal lobe. We can say if we have a certain kinds of damage on our frontal lobe, we can have certain kinds of memories problem. We can say that disorders of forgetting something. Now moving toward the parietal part, that is parietal lobe. This is mainly we can say that temperature and pressure, to sense whatever the temperature and pressure. We mainly for example we can take that whenever we touch a hot glass of tea or a coffee, we certainly withdraw our hands. This is because our hands send signals to the parietal lobe, and this parietal lobe process the things and say that the object is hot or cold. According to this, we can say that it also maintains temperature and pressures. Now moving towards the occipital lobe. Have you heard that we have a heard fact that we should not get hit in our back, that we might get blind. This is the true fact that this portion, the back portion is responsible for the vision. This is that's why we say that in back we should take a proper care. The back is totally delicate. Now temporal lobe. Temporal lobe mainly it consists mainly it is for equilibrium. We can say that to maintain the balance. For example, I am standing here in a in a proper posture. This is because of the temporal lobe. It's not only helps in hearing and understanding the language. Its main thing, that is the maintaining of a equilibrium or maintaining of a balance that you are handling. Now cerebellum is the given extra part, that is also helps in maintaining balance. Whenever we drunk, whenever the person is in drunks or consume alcohol, it mainly affects on the person's mind, and it mainly affects on the cerebellum, which gets we can say which gets dysfunction at that particular time, where we lost our balance, where we lost our equilibrium. Now moving toward the spinal cord, we have 31 pairs of nerves as said, that is cervical nerves, thoracic nerves, lumbar nerves, and spinal nerves. Till now my syllabus, these nerves has been not yet discussed, so we are proceeding to the next topic. Somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Here we can see a vast range of neurons, where we have a type of mixed nerves, motor nerves, and sensory nerves. Somatic nervous system, as we can see, this is mainly based on our regular events. For example, if someone calls you, you respond to them. That is a kind of somatic nervous system. Means we have a regular habitat of it. Means repeated actions can be your somatic nervous system. But we can say autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system, that the activities which is not in our control or will. Maybe the beating of heart, you can't control your beating of your heart. It may be your, we can say, the breathing. It may be your we can say and in these cases actually it happens that in autonomic nervous system, mostly the parts which are involved in that, the function of that part is that whenever we have a for example, whenever we say that we have a synthetic mode, means we for example we are in a danger, for example we have a reflexes, we are in a danger, then what you do, either you fight or you take a flight, means you disappear from that particular place. For at that process, or same process, the all body organs follow. For example, if we have a dim lights, our eyes if we have a dim lights, our eyes gets dilated so that it can absorb more light to see the object in a dark. And when we get back to a normal, for example, if I am in a dark room, our eyes will get dilated, means our pupil get extended, and the light which is at very low will get absorbed more and more, so that we can see the object in a dark. But when we get back to our normal position, means if someone puts on the light, then our pupil which has been dilated get back to its normal position and get back to the constricted phase. Same like we have various organs which performs the same activity. Now we have in human brain we have 12 pairs of we can say that cranial nerves, which is mainly responsible for controlling various body parts, that is occipital and we can say that the occipital, that is responsible for the vision of controlling vision of the eyes. We have we can say we have 12 pairs of temporal. Like that we have so many pairs of neurons. Now moving to the conclusion part. Mainly we have discussed about the peripheral nervous system and the we can say that somatic nervous system. Now we have one part, that is reflex action. Reflex action are those action which are taken in an emergency, which, for example, whenever we have a fear or fight type of conditions, we mostly depends on reflex actions, and the reflex action is could be only taken by the CNS, and we can most rarely our brain is involved in that kind of action. But if someone asks that the most intervals that we get, that is the spinal cord, which process the we can say the messages and sends the order to respond according to a stimulus. For example, if we see a snake, we try to either fight, if have a we can say that stick, we either fight with them, or either we throw the stick and get a fly. This is because our spinal cord has responded at a particular time and a short intervals of time. And for that kind of situation, for we can say that in emergency or any kind of situation, we have a reflex action. And reflex action may be your we can say naturally, or maybe we acquired. Yeah. For example, in case of acquired, we can see that example, I am taking a bit longer example, that is a dog on bell ring. A dog on bell ring comes to eat their food. For example, the scientist has performed an experiment where he regular on a bell ring gives food to the dog. Then the dog has a habitual becomes its habitual habit. So whenever the owner rings the bell, the dog come to the owner, so that in search of that the owner will provide them food. The dog, after it's been we can say that it's been a month, the one day the owner rang the bell but didn't give the food to the dog, but we can see the dog have a still salivation in their mouth. So this shows that whenever we have a habitual habit, we there also we can see the reflex action, either it's emergency or it's a habitual habit. Now the conclusion, nervous system. Conclusion part is that its overall conclusion is that our nervous system is being the master of the glands. It controls all the body parts, and it is essential too, because whenever we for example, whenever we don't know how to work we don't if we don't have any kind of stimulus, then how our body will be we can say that how our body control the other organs. If we did not get disturbed by any kind of stimulus, then we will attain equilibrium, and that particular instance we may have to face various kinds of problems and may even fatal to death also. For example, for that our nervous system is responsible for that. Our nervous system have a special category to enhance the capability of the body by producing nerve signals, by using certain kind of energy. And here the nervous system, we can say that make a quick decision whenever we have a kind of emergency, whenever we feel. And for example, in our day-to-day life, we require various we can say the various things to respond at quickly. For example, if for example giving in an interview, we have a sharp mind. So these are the activities of the nervous system. Fear, pressure, we can say, and even we can say that nervousness we get, the kind of we can say that sometimes we get sorrow and pain. That kind, if we remain in that particular posture, then our mental effect could be affected, and it may cause so many disorders. So that our nervous system produces a various kind of roles, and we can say that a bit of taking a bit of consuming sweet things can even act as a stimulus, and can helps to produce so many kinds of neurotransmitter, that is maybe serotonin, acetylcholine. There were so many kind of neurotransmitter which helps in responding at a particular situation and particular we can say emergency. And here the main things is that nervous system mainly is for control and coordinations. So either it's a function of our heart, either it's a function of our brain. In every body parts the nervous systems are involved, where we can say that we have to take a, we can say that we have to send the message quickly. For example, it's maybe in a respiration, it's maybe in a we can say breakdown of food, and it's maybe even in a thinking, if maybe in a reasoning, we require nervous system. We can overall say that nervous system performs a well and vital role in our day-to-day life, and so that we should learn the importance of our nervous system. And also try to protect them for either if we get any kind of damage in our nervous system or neurons, it may cause to various disorders. For example, earlier I also said that we get eye blindness due to the damage of occipital neurons, occipital loop. Maybe it's and we can lose our memories due to the damage of the frontal loop. These are the things which nervous system includes. Thanks.
Show me the first slide, second slide of graph.
Sir, graph.
Graph.
This one.
Resting potential and
Yes, sir.
You have mentioned about the stimulus.
Yes, sir.
Which are very essential.
Yes, sir.
To come from first stage to the second stage, that is your depolarizing stage.
Yes, sir.
So tell me, how can you define the stimulus? Can it be outsider or insider also?
Yes, sir. Stimulus, we know that stimulus is an agent which brings chemical changes in our body. So we can say that the stimulus can be outsider also and can be insider also. When we talk about outsider, first of all, when we talk about outsider, then we can talk about any agent. It's maybe your electric waves, it may be your mosquitoes, or it's maybe you are hit by something else, or it's maybe a sound waves we can say that called by a person. And when we talk about insider, so insider mostly there is a sodium potassium pumps which act as a stimulus, and this happens when it requires 1 ATP of energy, so that sodium and potassium could not attain equilibrium, and this is the stimulus of the body which led them to disturb the equilibrium state of the body, so that the process keep going, and we have a nerve, we can, for example, if we are thinking, then there is no external stimulus, then how the cell or how the impulse generate, we should focus on that point. Then whenever we think or whenever we do our work with our will, then there is a sodium potassium pump located here, which helps in taking of 3 sodium ions inside, or we can say the 3 sodium ions comes inside the membrane, that is intracellular fluid, that is full of intracellular fluid, mainly known as exolemma, and the, yes sir.
Can fear is a part of inner stimulus?
Can fear part of inner stimulus? Yes, it may be a part of inner stimulus, because whenever we think, we generate an impulse, and due to the generation of impulse, we can say that impulse is generated mainly when there is a stimulus.
Okay, show me the next slide. Okay, tell me what is the basic difference between somatic and automatic system? I'm not asking about the nervous system.
Yes sir.
What is the difference between somatic and automatic?
Autonomic and somatic nervous system. Somatic nervous system, autonomic nervous system, somatic nervous system.
No, I'm not asking about the nervous system.
No, sir, somatic and autonomic. Somatic is mainly of the body, which is, we can say, the voluntary actions were involved, and autonomic where involuntary action is involved. For example, in a somatic we can say that all our body parts which are voluntary, we can say that muscles, movement of our muscles, that is somatic parts, and we can say that in autonomic we can say that the beating of the heart, breathing, we can say, and even our even in these parts we have a brain stem, that is medulla oblongata and pons varolii, which act as a which helps in involuntary action.
Clap for him.